And leading your bulletin this hour, a section of Mozambicans have taken to social media to react to the withdrawal of presidential candidate Valentin Mondlane's diplomatic passport, which was seized by authorities upon his return from exile. This development comes as Mondlane calls on his fellow countrymen to protest from January 13th to January 15th to oppose the swearing in of the country's incoming president. SABC's Isaac Lucando has more.
Venancio Mondlane, the main challenger to Mozambique's ruling party in October's election, no longer holds a diplomatic passport. His passport was seized on January the 9th after returning home following a 2-month self-imposed exile. Authorities claim his resignation from parliament in June last year led to its cancellation. However, lawyers for the engineer-turned-politician argue that Mondlane, as the runner-up in the election, is a member of the Council of State, a presidential advisory position that entitles him to a diplomatic passport. They further contend that the move is an attempt to intimidate their client, a claim authorities deny. A section of Mozambicans on social media appears to agree with his legal team, urging authorities to reinstate his passport. Meanwhile, Mondlane has called for more protests to derail Daniel Chapo's swearing in as the country's new leader on January the 15th. The planned 3-day protest is part of a continuing wave of unrest in Mozambique since the October elections, which have resulted in loss of life and property destruction. Mondlane, however, has cautioned the public against looting or violence during the protests. Isaac Lucando, SABC, Dar es Salaam.
The swearing in of members of parliament in Mozambique is expected to take place tomorrow, this ahead of the inauguration of President Daniel Chapo later this week. Meanwhile, Podemos candidate Valentin Mondlane, who has returned to Mozambique, has called for protests to resume on Monday, this to prevent the swearing in of Chapo, a Frelimo candidate who was declared the winner of the recently concluded elections. The government says the inauguration will go ahead as planned. The outgoing president, Filipe Nyusi, has met with leaders of political parties on the opposition last week with the aim of finding a solution to the current political crisis. For more on this, we're now joined by SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, thank you so much for your time. Perhaps to start here, will opposition parties attend the swearing in of members of parliament as expected to take place?
Well, Renamo just had a media briefing, the spokesperson indicating that Renamo will not attend the swearing in. The same with MDM, another political party in Mozambique. We are still waiting to hear from Podemos whether they will attend or not. But it looks like some of the political parties will not participate tomorrow when members of parliament are being sworn in.
Yeah, perhaps to also take it here, Venancio Mondlane has called for protests to resume from tomorrow onwards. Is there any word from the government or other political parties on their view on this?
No word yet from government and other parties, and therefore tomorrow we'll see whether Mozambicans will respond. But we know that because of the challenges of unemployment and the social condition in that country where many people are unemployed, particularly the youth, you are likely to see some of the demonstrations. But he has called on Mozambicans not to engage in the destruction of property and also to ensure that the demonstrations are not violent. And therefore, I think on the side of government is fully aware. I'm sure the intelligence service have done their work in terms of ensuring that there's proper deployment so that those who want to go to the swearing in or who want to go to work and businesses who would want to operate to do so, because Mondlane himself has requested that there shouldn't be violence and that there shouldn't be the destruction of property.
Yeah, given the controversy around the declaration of Chapo as the president, do you expect many SADC leaders to attend the swearing-in, particularly President Ramaphosa, who was previously criticized when he had attended the swearing-in of the Zimbabwean president after the Zimbabwean elections, which also, by the way, was controversial?
The liberation movements on the continent have come under fire, and I think in the SADC region, particularly when you look at the frontline states, I expect many of those liberation organizations to support Frelimo because they feel they are also under siege. And when you look also in terms of the chair of the SADC region, that is President Emerson Mnangagwa, I am sure he will definitely want to preside over that event as the SADC chair, even though he might not speak or he might just attend. The same with the chairperson on organ politics, defense and security, that is the president of Tanzania, particularly because Chama Penduza also is having challenges in Tanzania. And ahead of the elections in Tanzania this year, they wouldn't want to be seen as not supporting other liberation organizations because this is a candidate for Frelimo that will be sworn in. The same with Namibia, you know that they just had their elections and Swapo candidate was declared the winner, and much as there are pending cases in court ahead of final inauguration in March, I think Swapo would also want to demonstrate their support to Frelimo. I know that ANC chairperson of the International Relations Committee, Menomvula Mokoena, will be there on behalf of the party. In relation to the president, we don't know yet. You'd recall that on Friday, the president, speaking to Samkela Maseko, indicated that he's monitoring the situation and government will make an announcement. But him pointing out that it has been a culture in the region when there's an inauguration for leaders to attend. His inauguration, it was a government of national unity clearly shaping up and ANC having lost the majority. But we saw the strategic political parties in the SADC region attending. President Nyusi, the outgoing president of Mozambique, was there. And therefore you can expect that he might attend. And we are told that the advanced team is already there. And therefore, I think he would attend and also want perhaps to get a sense of what's happening and perhaps respond quietly and diplomatically to the request by opposition and NGOs that he assists.
Yeah. Just the last question here. Mondlane's diplomatic passport was seized by authorities when he arrived back in the country yesterday. Of course, this raising more questions around the suppression of opposition leaders. What do we know about the ongoing court process in relation to this?
Well, you know that apparently he got that passport as a member of parliament, but secondly, now that he's not a member of parliament, because when he chose to be a candidate of Podemos, he did resign. And therefore, apparently, the diplomatic passports are given to individuals with certain responsibilities in the country, like it does happen in South Africa. Not everyone has got a diplomatic passport. But the question is, clearly, they are trying to ground him. But unfortunately, then if there are rules and regulations that give them a leeway to do that, there's nothing that you can do. It's the law of the country. But clearly, they are grounding him, I think.
Yeah. Sophie Mokoena, thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. Sophie Mokoena giving us an update on the latest ongoing in Mozambique.